You know, these little moments, you know, that we had through our careers, people mistaking me for you, you know.
What? That's why you're not sitting beside each other.
You don't get groups like this in hockey very often, right? This is a very, very unique group here.
You know, I'm just happy that we can get together like this every year and just get to feel that vibe that we didn't get to feel when we were playing.
This community here is something that, you know, I wish I had a little bit more of a feel and, you know, a support group with, you know.
You have one black guy, maybe a team, if that. So, you know, to get a group like this together is very unique.
I feel like I've known you guys all my life, you know. I won't tell you how old I am, but it feels like I've known you for at least 20 years.
Yeah. I think it's like extremely important, obviously growing up, not playing with a lot of people who look like ourselves, get into a situation when you have other black hockey players that like you just feel at home right away, right?
We're all played as long as we did because we were good teammates, and that was probably the most important thing. But this adds another layer to it. You know, I only had with Bryce Salvador as a teammate. We would just look at each other across the room at times and did they just say that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
what's going on here?
Usually you're just thinking to yourself, did he just say that? Like, but it was nice to have those nonverbal things that would happen.
It's not just sharing in some of the experiences, but like our culturally, like who we are outside of hockey and outside of the ring. It's not always represented, or you're not always allowed to be that in a room. So like for me, this brotherhood has also been like, oh man, like I don't need to leave that, like bring that extra 5-10% of me that I used to have to bring to like make sure I was conform. It was
Or drop the 5-10%.
Yeah, exactly. Let your hair down.
Unapologetically,
Yeah.
That's right, no apologies.
Yeah.
It's super brave to have these conversations and to acknowledge you guys.
Doing this for me is speaking to the 11 or 12-year-old kid out there, like, that it's possible, right?
My mentors in the game or in the sport were guys that didn't see color, that never addressed me as being any different than anybody else in the dressing room, although that was always, the 13 years that I played, was always the only black guy on the team. There was some conflict in the dressing room due to color. Players wouldn't actually carpool in the same car as me because of the color of my skin. And I didn't actually know that until it come to head. Our coach handled it in such an incredible way. We had a team meeting just like this. We sat around and he said, if the player that you have a problem with could change, if he wanted to change what it is you don't like about him, and he's willing to do that to be a part of this team, then great. But if he can't change it, and you're not liking this guy for something that he cannot change, I think you need to look in the mirror. And for me in that moment, it was probably the first time and probably a real pinnacle point in my career that made me want to continue to play, knowing that there's good people in the game that will mentor you.
I remember when I was 8-9 years old, I was in a weird situation because my father, who is black, was out of the picture. I had a white stepfather and a white mother, and when I started to get, you know, racial slurs, things like that on the ice, I didn't even know what it was. You know, I felt like I was doing something wrong. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit hockey. I thought it wasn't for me. And my father brought me to a Sabres game, and he said, you know, if you want to quit, I just want you to watch this guy out there. And it was Grant Fuhr. And I watched Grant stand on his head. And the car ride home, and my dad asked me, he's like, do you still want to quit? He's like, because I guarantee you, you know, Grant Fuhr had to deal with stuff you're dealing with too. And, you know, I didn't quit. He kind of gave me somebody to look up to, you know, and after that day I had a poster of Grant Fuhr on my wall for years. He played a huge factor in my life.
Adrian, how about like for you in the fashion business, your desire to want to continue to inspire and train and teach?
When I started 35 years ago, there wasn't a roadmap. There wasn't an example of what I was trying to do or what I thought I was going to do. Now it gives me an opportunity to say to these kids, a lot of people are going to tell you that you can't do things. And there's no reason to believe that that's true. I'm not just saying it, but I'm showing it, apart from the, the lessons of, how to make a better t-shirt or how to make a better sweatshirt. There's also that lesson, which I think is, even more important.
Yeah, and to your point on like those who are going to tell you you can't, whether it's literally saying that or if it's just that energy, the discouragement, you play hockey, like the constant sort of reminder is like, I just thought I was a Canadian kid. I didn't recognize that what I was trying to do was something I maybe shouldn't be doing.
Discrimination is out there, and it's not something that we should run from. I own a junior hockey club, and I have probably the most diverse dressing room in the league. It was brought to my attention by a couple of reporters that were talking about it, like being white on your team, you're a minority. Do you pick your team like that? And I actually didn't even realize that.
You weren't even aware of the diversity that you were already building on a team that someone else had to see, which is a good thing.
Correct.
Because if you can't see it and it's right there in front of you, that means we're meshing the way that we should.
Our responsibility as athletes and role models that we talk about it. It's important that the message as a mentorship is received in a comfortable environment where, it can be accepted and people are for respect.
Black culture has very much influenced and continues to influence pop culture. And we've seen it in the integration of hip hop and music videos and guys like Snoop and J. Cole, all the way from Gin and Juice to Tribe Called Quest and modern day rocking hockey jerseys and videos and things of that nature.
There was a guy, his name is Chris Latimer, and he's the one who started putting hockey jerseys on all of these artists in the early 90s. Okay. In black culture at that time, because hockey was something so foreign, it was really exotic to see these guys wearing hockey jerseys, plus basketball jerseys. So that was like a new flip.
I remember walking in my first junior game, the vets there playing banana pancakes. Like, there's no way we're listening to this before a game. Like, how are you getting hyped for a game for this? Let's throw in some hip hop, let's get some energy. It's like, you look around the room and, guys are bobbing their heads. Right. You throw some Snoop on, you throw some J. Cole, like you were saying, and guys are liking it. And, you see guys like Snoop trying to, buy the Ottawa Senators. That hip hop culture is starting to integrate itself, not just all other sports, but, predominantly white sport and hockey.
When I first heard rappers you like, that changed my life. I would go back to my friends and say, oh, I heard the song is whatever. And they'd be like, no, we're Supertramp, that's it. Yeah, right. We only Supertramp, like, get that out of here. Like, and it was just after, like, the summer of disco in '79, and, like, disco sucks, and disco's dead, and whatever. And then I come with this, hip hop, hibbit, and they're like, no, back to the, Aerosmith or whatever. For now to see how, those kids who I went to grade school with, their kids are, get that, don't play that stuff for here, Dad. Like, we want to hear, we want to hear Jay, we want to hear Drake, and, it's just great to see it. It's great to have grown in that culture and great to have been a part of it and to participate and contribute. Like, all that's incredible for me.
There was a persona that was projected by rappers to the public at the time when it all began. And it was that we were badasses, or so they would say. And so right there, that created the stigma in the general public's mind of villains and criminals and all this kind of stuff. And they just rode that, like you said, until the 90s when things started to ease up a little bit. And they realized, well, you know what? This is a music culture that maybe we should be looking into. And then all of a sudden, the first collaboration of rap and modern rock. Remember who it was?
Run DMC.
You got it, Aerosmith, right? Walk This Way.
Yeah.
Okay, so right there, when that started happening, you knew that, okay, this music industry is going to be infiltrated by the hip hop and by the rap, and by the time it's all over with, rap may take it over.
We had Freddie Brathwaite on our team, so sometimes, I had the iPad or my iPod, and we would do the split headphones where he'd go, show me something, bring me back. And so I'd try to play some old school song for him and see if he knew it. So one time I put on Welcome to Atlanta, and I was, Freddie, you know this one? And he didn't even look up. He was just listening, bobbing his head. He's like, Devo, why don't you check out the music video and get back to me? Sure enough, that night I go on YouTube and see the music video, and there's Freddie B, just dancing in his jersey in the music video. It's one of the sickest things I've ever seen.
Legendary.
That's cool.
He's in the video.
Yeah.
We got invited to like Nelly's birthday party, me and Freddie, and we're like, is it like his birthday party or is it like a public, did we really just get invited? So we ended up going to the party, and at the party, it's like, do you want to be in the video? And we're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. But we were like a month away from the playoffs, and I was like, Freddie, you should do it. But I'm nervous because I'm like, you know how the perception would be if you go, and we ended up getting knocked out in the first round anyway, but I regret it to this day, but I said, no, I can't do it. I'm like, Freddie, you gotta go do it. You're not playing, you gotta go do it. So he went and did it. I'm so jealous to this day that I didn't do it.
We didn't even go to the second round anyways.
So he did it, and it's legendary.
That's cool.
He's in the video.
Yeah. Another way, exactly. It's just hip hop can't die, and now Freddie's integrated into it too.
Forever, forever.
I love that.
Val, you're first African-American to play in the NHL, right? So I'm the youngest one here. So I could probably tell a story about every single one of you guys. To see you guys all play pro hockey before me was something that really drove me and, made me the player that I was.
One of the things that I've always loved about, getting to look up to some of y'all and playing with and against some of you is the opportunities we get to actually celebrate Black excellence, celebrate what we do. We all have moments where we admire and look up to Grant. There's moments with Val and what you mean for us. But one of my biggest arts is getting to celebrate you at times as well for what you've just meant and done for us.
For me, growing up, I learned about Willie O'Ree, and I took my time and learned everyone who looked like me. So for me, to finally meet you was unbelievable.
I felt the same way about meeting you. That's the first time I'd met you since you've been playing pro hockey, and I watched you when you first came in, and I was thoroughly impressed with your style. That you could actually score, weren't afraid to go into the corners, weren't afraid to grab the biggest guy on the ice and go with him. Heart of a lion.
When I first got called up, Chris Stewart had just got traded to the team, so I became good buddies with him, and he's obviously boys with Simmer, and so we started going on All-Star break together. And, I knew him in the league, obviously he put up points, but, would fight anybody. I can't remember, where was the first All-Star break we went to? Was it Bahamas?
Yeah.
And this guy shows up to the beach, and he is like a toothpick. And I'm like, there's no way this is Simmer. This guy can't weigh more than 50 pounds. I'm looking at him, I was like, if he's fighting all these guys, I can fight anybody then. And I just always admired that about him. He's not a big guy, but, man, his heart is bigger than anybody's out there.
I'll actually double down on that as well. And one thing that Chris Stewart said to me, referring to you, was, Simmer's the guy's a lion, man. He's a lion, all-star. He and Grant are the only two Black NHL All-Star MVPs of an All-Star game. So the guy has plenty of skill, plenty of heart, great character, and what makes him a good teammate. But then he's willing to do that. There's guys in the league who are a lot bigger than 180. Or whenever you first entered, I know you're bigger than that, but I'll definitely big you up for that too, Simmer. I always love that about you.
From my side, the non-hockey player, Wayne coming from Scarborough, Scarborough stand up, it was a big deal for us. When you got drafted and when you came to the Leafs, it was a proud moment for us.
I have tremendous respect for every single one of you guys.
Just for sticking it out.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because a lot of people, would have quit. And I think it's testament to us, sitting here at this table today, speaks volumes.
Well, the thing was, we wanted to inspire the younger kids of color. We're here to make an equal playing ground for everyone. So if we can make an easier jump for them, where maybe we will have an equipment depot where, okay, you young guys, you don't have equipment, come on down, grab what you need, and once you're done with it, bring it back, because there's going to be a kid that's going to be the same size that you are right now that's going to need that next year, and then we'll give you a new set.
I also think of the next wave from a Quentin Byfield and Akil Thomas's, and seeing how nasty from the World Junior goals to these top 3 NHL draft picks and what their talent and skill is, and celebrating the next wave of young Black hockey players as well.
What's most exciting for me when you talk about the future of the game is you look at all these kids that are drafted in the first round in the last couple of drafts. That gets me excited because there's a lot of color on that screen.
Yeah.
I was watching those drafts and thinking to myself, what's that next wave coming going to look like? And every single one of us had to have perhaps even more of a physicality to our game, fighting element to our game, And that's gone from the game virtually, right? So I'm excited to see what that next generation of players of color look like and what they're gonna do to change it. I think there's a massive shift coming because they're gonna be all gonna be goal scorers. They're all gonna be playmakers. They're all gonna be able to change what it looks like. As much as what we've done, what's coming to me is most exciting.
When, you know, we continue to look at and think of the different ways that the Black community and Black culture has had impact in hockey, it's not just in the men's game, it's also in the women's game. The legendary Angela James, who many of us here have known, and that's how it's inspired Soraya Tinker and Sarah Nurse and younger generations still. One of the favorite things that I had experienced when the Maple Leafs hosted the All-Star game, we hosted a Future Stars showcase, and it was 14, 15-year-old AAA playing girls, a predominantly Black group, and the coaches were Angela James and Soraya Tinker and Vicky Sanahara.
That many kids of color on the ice at once is something that, you know, I would love to strive for. You know, I've never been in an environment where I'm on the ice with 25 other skaters like myself, right? That's pretty powerful. You know, just to see that in the coaches, to the young kids, they're seeing themselves in those coaches, right? So to me, that was powerful. I've never seen that.
Hockey looks a lot different. I can tell you that. Like Sarah Nurse has a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
And Tim Hortons.
so
like
cool.
how crazy is that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, could you imagine like having a doll or something of yourself? And for a Black woman, that's even
Bigger, yeah.
even bigger, right? It's been amazing.
With all the women that are involved, starting with Blake Bolton, first female executive to work for the National Hockey League. I think they have a lot to bring to the game. There's some really, really good hockey players out there in the female age, and I think they get lost when the contact comes into play because we start to say, hey, whoa, they're hitting, we got to pull the girls out of the program. But some of these girls are tough. Like they can take it. You know.
That's an element that has continued to enhance the professional women's game as well. And to your point, it's the same training regimen. They're elite athletes, they're professional athletes, and you eliminate the dangerous, open ice hits. But being able to allow these elite athlete women to physically engage, I totally feel it's also enhanced and helped market their league to the traditional male hockey fan.
I have 2 young daughters, and whether they want to play hockey or not, I think it's an amazing thing to see. I can say it for us all. We just want to be role models to where kids in this city will want to look up to us and they want to do what we can do, because if we've done it where we've come from and the things that we've gone through, anyone else who puts their mind to it can definitely accomplish the same goals.
Well, that's exactly what we're trying to teach them, right? So that the you can be better than what we were.
Yeah. But for a lot of us, being Black and sometimes coming off as being too Black was a detriment. Adrian, we can start with you being the creator and founder of Two Black Guys. What does that mean to you? What is Two Black?
When I started the company, I really just wanted a company that represented who I was. We're tired of having to fit in. We're tired of having to, you guys have talked about it before, like leave that 10% of yourself, outside of the locker room so you could fit in the locker room. And we were going to demonstrate that not only could we have this business, but we could have a business that was at the top level in terms of quality, the top level in terms of branding, the top level in terms of marketing, the top level in terms of design, despite the fact that people said, well, if you have a company and you name it this and it's not gonna succeed, blah, 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 whatever. It's like, cool, you might think that, we're gonna try it anyway, without apology. So to me, that's really what the whole idea of Two Black was. We don't need to fit in. We don't need to be a part of a mold. We don't need to meet your expectations in order to be successful. And we really don't need to do that in order to be happy. My brand and my career have taken me to a lot of places that I would have never expected to ever go. An opportunity to do this with you guys is another place that I never expected I would be able to go to touch the Toronto Maple Leafs.
You have to sometimes shake the tree to get people's attention. I was so just emotionally invested in it being successful for you. It's amazing to create something special and amazing that we might think is cool and our families might think is cool, but the fact that it was so well received,
we need them to think it's cool,
was like the right topping that we needed.
Absolutely.
But I'm just so grateful that you had the foresight and the vision to do this.
Well, it's not so just brave on the Maple Leafs side of things. You must have known just Two Black in general is a real powerful statement that's going to make a lot of people feel uncomfortable.
That challenge for me as a businessman and as a brand came with a price. That means that, like I'm taking a smaller slice of the pie because there are people who are just never going to get over that hump. But to me, it was worth it. The concern is always, okay, we do this, and if it doesn't work, then it'll never be done again. And no one will ever try this again. Like,
Exactly.
And Mark will be looking for a job. So, it was important. It's important for me to, make sure that we had something, and the support that you guys gave this whole thing. Like, it doesn't work without you guys, right? It doesn't work without your inspiration. It doesn't work without your stories. It doesn't work without your commitment in terms of time and your own personal brands. All of that was necessary for this to happen and to have the success that it did. So I'm grateful to all of you guys for,
we're happy to do it.
I think the beauty of what you've put together here is integration's been called out quite a few times in this and how we integrate into,
what it does.
but I think the brand takes it from integration to influencing, right? I think we've done our whole lives integrating and trying to
Fit into another
make
world.
integration
Yeah.
a piece of us having success. That's very difficult. And the kids are gonna take to what they see right away, right? And this brand, and then be able to wear something that kind of states who they are and puts a flag in the ground. It shifts it to influencing, right?
And also looks pretty cool too, so.
It looks fly. Yeah.
I struggled for a long time in my career with that question. Am I a black hockey player or am I a hockey player who is black?
I mean, that question has always been a false flag. It's like you're both, you're neither, you're whatever you want.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's always,
And why
it's always a
does it
false
matter?
flag.
I don't have to choose. I don't have to be one or the other. And I think for me, that's what your brand represents is that, no apologies, this is who I am. And I hope the next future generation that are going to sit around a table like this, they don't have to have these same conversations. They could just play the game.
This conversation evokes a lot of emotion and thought, what I can do next and how I can make other people feel comfortable and, just something I can do more.
To me, the next step is how do we help elevate each other to whatever that next thing is. Maybe we can help create a network for each other, help support each other, and get us to where we want to go.
This is a moment of celebration, to be honest, right? Celebrating the trials and tribulations, celebrating the successes, the accomplishments, right? That's what Two Black is, building that ability to influence. But I think it transcends just this group. It's great. I love it.
To sit around and share an experience where we all can collectively look at each other and know that we've experienced the same thing and just feel safe. That was cool.
It was a privilege to be a Maple Leaf, to put on that jersey. And it's a privilege to be a part of this and a part of this group and this conversation. I want to say, thank you for that because I see firsthand now, through new eyes, through my kids' eyes, of how, impactful this all is going to be.
Your achievements don't end with you. You're an inspiration, an example for generations of, up and coming hockey players and just people in general. I'm just glad I was able to be a part of being able to amplify your stories. Important.
We love you, man.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all the sick swag.
That's right.